But shifting focus to the biggest global story this morning then. And tensions between US and Iran remain at the highest level that we have seen in weeks. The US has carried out fresh strikes on Iranian targets after attacks on commercial shipping, while Iran has retaliated with strikes targeting locations in Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, Jordan and Oman that host US military assets. The Strait of Hormuz remains the biggest flashpoint. Iran says navigation remains restricted, while US President Donald Trump and US Central Command insist that the waterway is fully open and US forces are positioned to ensure freedom of navigation. Sumita Karir, my colleague, is now joining us with more details on everything that has happened overnight. Sumita?
That's right. There's been a severe uptick in tensions in West Asia over the past couple of days. And of course, tensions have only escalated in the past couple of hours because Iran has claimed attacks on Jordan, Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Oman, targeting US military facilities in these regions. In fact, Iran had earlier on stated as well that any side that seemed to be supporting the United States is going to be a quote-unquote legitimate target. And of course, this, after the United States launched a fresh wave of strikes against Iran, so explosions were heard in Bushehr, Bandar Abbas, Sirik and Chabahar. Now, what has led to this fresh wave of strikes is the fact that, there have been a bunch of vessels that have been attacked. And in fact, this is something that India has also dismissed as well. The attack of commercial shipping vessels that India has also condemned in its latest statement. So, of course, on the Strait of Hormuz, US CENTCOM has said that US forces are positioned and prepared to ensure that freedom of navigation in Hormuz takes place and that Iran does not control the Strait of Hormuz. President Donald Trump also stated along the same lines a couple of days back that the Strait of Hormuz is open. However, the Persian Gulf Strait Authority has insisted that no travel is allowed until stability is restored. Now, there is this massive question over the Strait of Hormuz. In fact, ever since the war began, the Strait of Hormuz has been at the center of all of these skirmishes and attacks and strikes and counterattacks. In fact, in the MOU that was signed between both sides in June this year, regarding the Strait of Hormuz, there was an arrangement or an agreement that the Strait of Hormuz is going to reopen and that Iran is going to make arrangements for the safe passage of vessels, and Iran and Oman in future will conduct dialogue for the administration of the Strait of Hormuz. So, of course, there's been a breach of this very MOU, this very feature of the MOU. And in fact, both the sides have leveled allegations about, the MOU being a breach, whether it is the United States or Iran.
Okay, Sumita, thanks so much for joining us with all those details. But shifting focus then, and a major development from the US, veteran Republican Senator Lindsey Graham has passed away at the age of 71 following what his office described as a brief and sudden illness. He had just returned from a visit to Ukraine and was among President Donald Trump's closest allies in Capitol Hill. His death leaves a key vacancy in the Republican ranks, with South Carolina's governor now set to appoint an interim replacement before a special election later this year. And a fire at a popular pub in Bangkok has killed 27 people, with 63 injured. This is one of the deadliest such incidents in tourism hub in the recent years. The Prime Minister, who visited the site, said that the pub rapidly filled with smoke after a fire broke out, forcing many to run to the back of the venue near the bathrooms. And with Argentina qualifying for the 2026 FIFA World Cup semi-finals after securing a 3-1 victory over Switzerland, the tournament has produced a historic lineup. Argentina, France, Spain and England, the world's top 4 ranked teams before the tournament, have all reached the semi-finals. It is the first time this has happened since FIFA introduced the men's world ranking in December 1992. And it's double delight for the world of tennis. World's #1 Jannik Sinner has successfully defended his Wimbledon crown, defeating Alexander in a 4-set final to defeat the title at the All England club. Earlier, Linda Noskova scripted history by winning her maiden Grand Slam title, defeating fellow Czech Karolina in the women's singles final.